talk about.
Right.
Who slimmed
and that
down.
was the heavyweight. Yeah, that was the heavyweight fight between Daniel Cormier and Roy Nelson. And
like I said before this, to me, it was all going to be about how much they weighed in at. And Daniel in DC came in right around 225. 224, 225. And to me, that's intelligent. You're starting to take the weight off. And Roy Nelson came in at 246, which just shows us he's not really taking this serious. He's content with the paychecks, but he's content with running his mouth about Dana. I'm like, if you want out that bad, just get out. Like, all he does is bitch about the sport, then stop. No one's holding a gun to your head and making you fight.
Well, he said he had a bad camp and everything, and he said he was, he's disappointed. Like he gave mad props to DC. He said, you know what, he's a technical fighter. And when we say this, everybody out there, I'm a fan of Daniel Cormier, but he is a very technical fighter, and it can get boring. I mean, just like with GSP. I mean, and I don't like those fights sometimes. I have a tremendous amount of respect for both of those guys because they're great fighters and both are champions, but they're so good at what they do, it's almost boring. And that's, I mean, it's actually crediting them, but it is. They're so good. And Roy Nelson said that. He said he wished, he could have mixed it up more with DC. They just could have slugged it out. But Daniel Cormier is not stupid enough to do something and get countered with that big ass right that Big Country loads up because he knows he can drop him. So he's not going to fight that type of fight. He's just going to, pull him up against the cage, out wrestle him, use his strength. And I tell you what, George, if he gets down to 205, if he takes that formula in and he can hold that strength, if he drops that last 20 and fight John Jones like that, John Jones could have a lot of trouble, man.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like to see Daniel Cormier fight Phil Davis first, just as a tune-up. He's a like-sized fighter, just like he's about the same size as John Jones, same height. Say they're going to be fighting at the same weight, but get yourself a tune-up fight, make that final 20-pound cut, because that's still a lot of weight to take off.
I tell you what, man,
being 205.
the problem is that he will stuff. Phil Davis is a great wrestler, but he's going to stuff his fucking takedowns because, I mean, you're talking an Olympic wrestler. You're talking a great college wrestler compared to an Olympic wrestler. And if they met, then you're going to look at DC. Phil Davis, where he lacks is his hands, and he's going up against a guy who is just a nasty boxer. I mean, DC's got some of the best hands in the heavyweight division. And he's sparring obviously with Cain Velasquez every day. I mean, you see how Cain Velasquez was talking him up, working with him. So they both are very good at what they do. And it's just like Venus and Serena. You got two of the best
Put it this way, off of that performance that he just put in a fight that went to the decision, do you automatically put him in a title fight at 205?
I mean, I would, because I think that's what the people would want to see. I mean, and I think, obviously he hasn't lost as a heavyweight, so why not? I mean, he would be the next to fight Velasquez. If you think about it, why not? Why doesn't he get the fight with Velasquez? So if he's willing to drop 205, then give him the shot at John Jones. I think that's one of the ways where it can be legitimate. I think the way Chael Sonnen talked himself into fights and stuff, I mean, if you're going to give Chael Sonnen the fight for talking himself in a fight, and now you've got Daniel Cormier, who's a legitimate contender in the heavyweights, has not been beat, and he makes it to 205, I say, yeah, give him a shot right away. Okay. What do you think?
As I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Cormier. Like you said, again, I'm not knocking how he wins fights. It's just, it's not fun to watch for me.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it's like GSP.
Yes, it's a lot like GSP. And for me, I mean, if I'm in DC shoes, I'm going straight for the payday, and that's straight for a title fight. If I'm in Dana White's shoes, I want Daniel Cormier to show me he can make weight, that he can hold that weight, because the last thing you'd want to do is have DC get all geared up for this title fight and then miss the weight cut. That would be horrible for a main event and have him miss the weight cut, because now the fight truly wouldn't matter. So just me, if I'm Dana White, I want DC to cut weight one time to 205, make the weight, or even just show me he can make the weight, and then maybe I'll give him the John Jones fight. But I would make him fight somebody else at 205 first if I'm Dana.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
That's just me, because I don't think, as many times as Dana White has been burned by fighters before in the past, I don't think he's going to throw him in. Now, he could if he gets enough hype and builds this up. And DC
but don't you think that? I mean, what you're saying, it makes sense. But I mean, don't you think? I'm gonna have to backpedal a little bit, because I think Dana White's concerned about his pockets, and I mean, honestly, if you sit back,
I totally understand he's concerned about his pockets, and like I said, if they can build the hype and DC can get out there and get under John Jones' skin and start building this thing up, then go with the money. Dana's always going to go with the money, but I'd be a little worried if I was Dana, having this guy who's never fought at 205. ever in his history. The one time he's on record for trying to make that weight, he had kidney failure. Yeah. I would be worried because it's going to hurt your pockets worse if that kid doesn't make weight. It just
I would try to make the fight happen, but the bottom line is you know, you and I both know waiting too long for these fights, you know, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Anderson Silva, GSP. Right, exactly. There you go. Anderson Silva, GSP.
Manny Pacquiao the guy on the pier telling the dude, the plane boss, the plane?
He's fucked up, man. I hope that little 5-7 mug stills you in your jaw.